ASMR Parker, back here with another video. But this time, guys, it is going to be a little bit different. It probably won't be as long as a normal video, because I don't know if I can stretch this out that far. But today we're going to be doing a few bedtime stories. We have The Ugly Duckling, Goodnight Moon, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and The Tales of Peter Rabbit. Now, these are all quick reads, but they're all peaceful, and maybe me whispering them makes them a little bit more peaceful. So, we're gonna hop right into it. Y'all just sit back and relax, enjoy the fire, because we got a fireplace going in here, and it is blazing hot. Okay, guys, we'll just hop right into it. The first one is The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, on a quiet little farm, a mother duck sat on her nest. One by one, her eggs began to hatch. Quack, quack, said the fluffy yellow ducklings as they came out. But one egg was much bigger than the others. When the last egg finally cracked open, out came a big gray duckling. He didn't look like all the others. The other ducklings stared. "You're so big and weird," one said. "You're not cute like us," another whispered. "My dear, you may not be as pretty as your siblings, but you are just as special," Mama Duck said, giving the duckling lots of love. The gray duckling felt sad. He didn't understand why he looked different. Whenever he went, the other animals laughed at him. The chickens clucked, the cats snared, and the ducks waddled away. "Go away, ugly duckling," they said. "You don't look like us," said the rabbits. "Why are you so gray?" asked the bluebirds. So the poor duckling ran off, looking for a place where he would belong. As autumn came, he found a beautiful lake shining in the sunlight. There he saw a group of graceful white swans swimming on the water, their wings shining like silver. Enchanted by their beauty, the little duckling went closer. But he stopped. He remembered how the others had treated him. He was afraid the swans would laugh at him too. To his surprise, the swans turned and smiled. "Hello there, little friend. You're welcome to join us," said the kindest swan. "But I'm not like you," the duckling said quietly. "I'm just an ugly duckling." The kind swan nodded gently. "You may think that now, but beauty is not just about looks. It's about being kind, brave, and true to yourself. Come, let's be friends." With new hope and happiness, the little duckling swam into the lake. The swans welcomed him warmly. They played games, splashed in the water, and laughed under the moon. One morning, the duckling looked into the lake and gasped. A beautiful creature stared back at him. His dull gray feathers were gone. He now had bright white feathers, a long neck, and gentle eyes. He had grown into a beautiful swan, just like his new friends. From that day on, the little duckling was no longer the ugly duckling. He had become a brave and graceful swan, ready to face any challenges that came his way. And he knew that true beauty was on the inside. The end. Sorry guys, it's sort of hard to read and breathe at the same time if you're reading out loud. I've never tried to read out loud. Okay, the next bedtime story is Good Night Moon. Good night, moon. In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon, and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens, and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb, and a brush, and a bowl full of mush. What is going on? Oh, I guess I pressed a button. And a quiet old lady who was whispering hush. And now it wants to do a 4-second ad. Thank you very much. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. Good night, kittens. Good night, mittens. Good night, clocks and good night, socks. Good night, little house and good night, mouse. Good night, comb and good night, brush. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. Good night, the old lady whispering hush. Good night, stars. Good night, air. And good night noises everywhere. The end. Now we have The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. Written for my sister Krista. That is Eric's sister Krista, not my sister Krista. Just to clarify. The Very Hungry Caterpillar. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and out of the egg came a little and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through 1 apple, but he was still hungry. So he started to look for some food. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. So he started to look for some food. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. So he started to look for some food. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. So he started to look for more food. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. So on Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, one slice of salami, one lollipop, a piece of cherry pie, one sausage, one cupcake, and one slice of watermelon. That night, he had a stomach ache. The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through one nice green leaf, and after that he felt much better. Now he wasn't a hungry caterpillar anymore. He wasn't a little caterpillar anymore either. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon and pushed his way out. And he was a beautiful butterfly. The end. I don't know if you guys are liking it, but it's giving me the yawns. And our last story is The Tales of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very large fig tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but do not go into Mr. McGregor's farm. Your father had an accident there, and he was put into a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Then old Miss Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the woods to the baker's. She brought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns home. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuce and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgot the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe among the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on all 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away altogether if he had not, unfortunately, ran into a gooseberry net and got caught by large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind, and rushed into the tool shed where he jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hiding underneath the flower pots. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each one. Presently, Peter sneezed. Catchoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. He was also very damp from sitting in that can. After a time he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorsteps, carrying peas and beans to her family in the woods. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to the pond where Mr. McGregor filled the water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hole. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon the wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside of the garden. Mrs. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looking behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit's hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made him some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. Well, guys, I hope you liked the bedtime stories. Like I said, I know it's different, but I thought I wanted to try something a little bit different. I thought you maybe like it. So, if you liked it, let me know, and we'll try to do something like it again. And it doesn't have to be these old bedtime stories. It can be whatever. We can start a book. You're just going to have to bear with me, because it'll take like 37 hours. But we can do it if that's what you guys want. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love you guys. See you later.